You know, even though I was worried about a health condition, I have access to a doctor. Oh, my kids are talking to me right now. Even though we've had some strained communication, you know, today and so it's like, that part was good, because there's always something to be grateful for, and you can kind of forget that at times. So
thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
How about if you remembered the joy section? What were your thoughts on the joy section?
The joy section was intriguing as well, in that on some days it was really hard to fill out. Because when you're feeling depressed, or you just feel like you're not in a good space, it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna rain again. But it definitely helped me pinpoint what in my day made the most impact to my happiness. You know, it definitely made me reflect on, like, oh, that was the best part of my day.
So being able to kind of really having to think about it, like you said, and reflect on what was the happiness or a good thing or the positive joy that was for the day for you.
Yeah.
Great. What were your thoughts on the amends and repair section?
That was kind of intriguing to me too, because you know, when you're in trying to keep going here, when you're, you know, doing recovery, so much emphasis is put on your amends and repair, and I hadn't really thought about it before, that I had created the conflict that I did, you know. So definitely once again reflective. Yeah.
It sounds like kind of reflective of, like, maybe any damage that you may have done, whereas before you might not have thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, I think you kind of get caught up in, like, well, they owe me an apology, or, you know, this or that. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah, my actions did affect that. You know, it just kind of made me reflect that a little bit more than I would have otherwise.
Okay. And then I'm just kind of curious, as far as what were your thoughts on kind of the plans for action in those other life areas? So there was, like, the work, education, home, housing, health, recovery, finances, spirituality, and any of the blank entries. Kind of just what your thoughts were kind of on those other sections.
That was definitely intriguing to me, because I would fill out the same things in some of the sections, like, daily, and then go, yeah, you didn't do that, did you? Like, because otherwise it wouldn't be here again. So I did find myself reflecting on what I was procrastinating on, which was interesting to me, because you know, some things just happen on their own, but other things, you know, that would be it. Like, absolutely seeing what was being put into momentum, and then what I was procrastinating on.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like for you, they may have been multiple days where you're writing down the same thing, and you're able to kind of see then what it was that you were not completing and procrastinating on for specific actions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. So kind of when you wrote things down on that right-hand side of the page, that had kind of, you know, those actions and kind of those different headings, to what extent did you find that you actually did those things, if at all? And you did touch on this a little bit, so just if you have anything else to add.
So when I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so kind of, you just kind of mentioned too that you might have wrote the same thing down, multiple days in a row, kind of, and seeing what you were procrastinating on. And I'm just kind of curious, when you did write things down on that right side of the page for any of those headings, to what extent did you find that you actually did those things, if at all?
I found that it definitely brought clarity to what needed to happen during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely definitely showed what was I would say most prevalent. Like, okay, well, and then it helped dissect it.
Mm-hmm.
Like housing. Well, if you need new housing, what do well, here are the steps. Here are baby steps. So it kind of broke it down into baby steps for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so for you clarifying what you kind of wanted to focus on for each of those areas, and then you were able to kind of put it down into smaller steps that you might be able to accomplish.
Yes.
Great. And so you might remember in group, we kind of wrote about each life area and why it was important to you. That was kind of that section that was at towards the end of the journal. Do you remember that section?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So kind of what were your thoughts about that part of the group?
I just remember thinking that one was a little bit harder, like to focus just on the one thing. But definitely helpful. And like I said, breaking it down. Like here's this most important thing that is weighing on you or that you want to accomplish.
Okay.
Here are the steps. How are you going to do it? How are you going to do this? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we kind of flounder in our brains with stuff, and it definitely helped with making like more of a clear choice of, all right, so make a phone call then and do this and do that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned that it was kind of the harder part of the group. What made that harder for you? Or if I misunderstood, definitely let me know.
No, yeah, you did. No, you did. You did not misunderstand. More or less the zoning in on one thing in particular. With the other, with the other part, it's like, okay, you can just throw in a little something like, okay, why is this most important and what do you need to do? It just felt a little bit more constructed and a little harder to do. So a little bit more constructed.
Okay. So it sounds like for you, like having to kind of where you were kind of honing in or focusing in on just kind of one of those life areas and how stressful that was for just one of those versus the opening or, allowing you to journal in other areas also. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you for sharing that. And you did kind of mention this part already when I kind of asked this question to see if you have anything else additional to add. What did you think about making things observable, measurable, and kind of the next smallest step?
Definitely felt like that helped with, because I have a little bit ADD and sometimes my brain can tend to just, go everywhere, and definitely helped consolidate some of my thinking and make things seem a little bit more manageable.
Okay. So being able to kind of focus in on that and then make things a little bit more manageable for you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And what, if anything, else that you haven't mentioned about this exercise stayed with you?
Well, I think I did mention it, but what has stayed with me